Hey YouTube, Ray and I here. I just was finding something funny because I was sitting down trying to gather my thoughts, and well, the thing is those thoughts ended up kind of bumping up against each other, and all of a sudden became inextricably linked. And I find it absolutely hilarious because it's very often whenever I am trying to gather my thoughts, trying to compartmentalize them, I notice how these different thoughts actually end up fitting together and the common threads of logic that connect them. And this is probably going to be a short video, so because I'm only going to give a few examples, but just so you can see the process or hear the process, whatever. But I was sitting there and I was thinking about, how feminism has been speaking out so much against the idea of sex robots and all of that. But also I've been, catching up on what's been going on and that sort of thing. And I was watching a Muslim talk, an ex-Muslim talking about the Muslim faith, how it actually functions on the inside, and so on and so forth. Because I wanted to actually hear this. I figure no better person to hear on it than someone who is now able to be openly critical of it, who's lived it, who was born and raised in that environment. And it was funny because one thing jumped out at me, and that was the notion that in that belief, like if you're looking at the scripture and the main dogma of it, in that in that belief system, at least according to this guy, the main thing that a woman brings to a marriage, the number one most important thing, is basically her vagina. Basically unfettered access to her by her husband. And I thought that was absolutely hilarious because, I don't even have to say it. A lot of people have been drawing the comparison between, feminist views and Muslim views, and how they somehow ironically fit together. And it's not like feminists are saying, oh, women should be subjugated. But the way that feminists go about things, shaming women for not doing what feminists want and that sort of thing, is kind of funny, because feminists like to push this narrative that the only value that women have to men is sex. And the thing is the Muslim faith believes in this. Well, the Muslim faith obviously is not okay with sex bots. I mean, how can you grow your army? Especially when you're killing off your own army constantly, when people are having sex with robots that can't get pregnant. But feminists are pissed off about it because they think that it will devalue women. Well, at that point, that means the feminists are putting the value of women solely in the basket of sex. If women are more than sex and they can bring so much more than sex to the table, and men should be looking at that, why not take sex out of the equation until it comes time to procreate? I mean, women have all sorts of stuff available to them for them to go ahead and take care of their own damn selves. Guys, we have a little fewer options there. But the funniest aspect of it all is I was sitting there and thinking, why is it that feminists believe this about women? I mean, hell, I'm not a feminist. I guess that's the reason why I believe that women can actually have more to bring to the table in a relationship than just sex. Some MGTOWs may disagree with me. Some men's rights activists may disagree with me on that. But those are the outliers. A lot of them are saying, no, women do have more to bring to the table. It's just they're either incapable of it at this point through socialization, or they're unwilling to bring more because they feel entitled to as much as possible for as little as possible. And so, and I'm not saying all women are like that, but you gotta admit, when you look at the dating scene, what's the stuff that women say they want? They want a guy with a nice car. They want a guy with a good, nice haircut. They want a guy with a fit body. They want a guy, you know, with a big wallet and other big things. They want a guy that's got a lot of money coming in. They want a guy that's socially popular. You know, all the way down the line. And you know, it's fine to want a high quality partner. Not dogging on women for that. But then when you ask a woman, well, what does she bring to the table? All of a sudden, the crickets start going. Because they're afraid to answer it. They'll sit there and they'll say, well, I bring companionship. All right, what else are you bringing to the table? You're bringing companionship, but the guy can get companionship elsewhere. So what else are you bringing? What are you bringing that's specific to you? Well, I bring fulfillment to him. How? And then all of a sudden, they start noting all of the obligations that a man has to a woman that he's married to. It's all like you're mentioning negatives here. You're already in the shit pit. Start mentioning some positives. The man having to work more is not a positive. The man getting more responsibility is not a positive. The man having to give up his quote-unquote childish hobbies is not positive. The guy not going out and hanging out with his friends at a bar is not necessarily positive. Although, you know, it's a little on the positive side for the liver. But, I mean, well, where are the positives? Well, he can get sex from me. He can get sex from a prostitute as well and spend half the money. So, where's the positives? You're offering him the same thing that a prostitute can offer him and him be guaranteed to get for his investment. So, please, something that only you can bring. And they end up never really giving me anything as far as an answer. So, I can now understand why feminists and even non-feminist women are absolutely terrified of sex robots. Because the thing is the sex robots can be gotten by anyone. That means they're not now only competing for the attention of the alphas with a nice old fallback of finding some little beta ignored, perpetually friend-zoned guy that is so fucking desperate for any sort of physical interaction with a woman that they're willing to subject themselves to the most horrible things that can happen to a human being on the planet to have a chance at it. Now they're having to compete for all of them. And so that's a big problem for women now, isn't it? They have the same concern, but for different reasons. Both examples, of course, are for selfish reasons, but they're still different reasons. But the fact is I'm sitting here and looking at this, I'm all like, how in the fuck do you arrive at the same spot coming from completely different beliefs? What, just because those core beliefs have one common thread, all of a sudden they're always going to meet again? And so then I started thinking about it. I'm all like, all right, well, Christians are having a problem with it. They don't view women as sex objects and that sort of thing. They view the relationship as a combining of the two, not just on a genetic as far as the child is concerned, but on a spiritual level. So why would they have a problem with this? Other than the fact that people would combine with machinery, at which point that's cyberist, you fucking bigots. But all joking aside, I thought about it. And the thing is, I was raised Christian. So I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about it. And I've got no honest answer as to why Christians would have an issue with this. And then I thought about a few of the parables from the Bible. And I remember the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, a lot of people, when they think of sodomy, they think, dick in butt. That's what they think. They think, hey, but that isn't it. What sodomy is having sex without the express intent of burying a child, of creating new life. So technically, masturbating is sodomy. And you can actually see that in the American military system. If you get caught jerking off, then you can actually be dishonorably discharged for discharging. But I'm all like, is that really the only reason? And I decided to go ahead and talk to a few of my friends. A vast majority of them are Christian. Either that or they're agnostic. They're all like, there's a power out there, but so they're primarily Christian, but they're open to other beliefs. And the thing is, the answer that I got from the women were pretty interesting. They said, well, then what reason would a guy have to get married? I'm all like, well, what about companionship? And they gave me the exact same arguments that I used for men not getting married to women. They used the exact same arguments. Now, these are pro-marriage people using the exact same arguments that I use against marriage. As far as how dangerous the whole sex robot thing is. I'm all like, well, what about adoption? What about surrogate? Well, then you're not going to have a family unit and kids are going to be raised by single fathers or single mothers. It's all like, well, they are already anyway. So what's going on? I mean, if you're going to sit there and be so for marriage, why not make it a binding contract that is permanent? Where if someone breaks that contract, they get a massive fucking penalty. And it's whoever breaks the contract, whoever calls it off. Or also whoever gets proven to be, who's proven to be breaking the contract by way of cheating or whatever. And they said they don't want to be authoritarian. Alright, well, if you don't want to be authoritarian, then who are you to say that a person can't stick their dick in a machine that's meant to pleasure their dick? Well, because it's damaging to society. Well, divorce is damaging to society, so why do we have divorce? Well, because we don't want to be authoritarian. And it started going into that loop, and I'm like, you know what, I'm not I'm not staying in this pool. No, no, I'm getting out. I'm walking away while I'm still ahead. And, or should I say, while I'm still sane. And then I went ahead and I talked to a few guys. I'm all like, are any of you against sex robots? And they're like, why would I be against sex robots? I'm all like, how about this? Go ahead and try to argue against sex robots. Like, I want to see what a guy would say. And so they were thinking about it, and they were thinking about it. Well, there's a possibility of them getting electrocuted. Okay, but if it's running off of a battery and not directly plugged into the wall, you're not exactly in danger unless it's got a car battery, at which point, how fucking often are you using this thing? Good God, take a break and take a drink of water. But, so, they thought about it, and they thought about it, and they thought about it. They're all like, well, I mean, it's going to be expensive. I looked at him, I'm like, do you know the average cost of a relationship for a guy? And so then they thought about it, and they thought about it, and all of a sudden, I just noticed the blank stares. Like, you know that 100-yard stare that someone gets when either they come to a realization or their brain just completely, you know? It's when you ask someone, where did your brain go just now? Usually the answer is to my happy place. But the thing is when I noticed that, I asked them, I'm all like, what are you thinking about? And one of the guys just looked at me and went, I have nothing. I have no reason against it other than for having kids. He's all like, that's the only thing. But I mean, I can go ahead and adopt. There's already a lot of kids out there that people are having that they don't want, but they don't want to take the time for, you know, protection and all that. So, I mean, I could go ahead and adopt a kid. I'm like, okay, fair enough, fair enough. And then one of the other guys brought up surrogacy. He's all like, fuck that shit. I want to raise a kid that's mine. And I'm all like, all right, that's, again, fair enough. I mean, at that point, you're going with your biological prerogative. So, all right, fine. And then a guy brought something really funny up. He's all like, you know, those sex robots might actually save marriages. There's not enough alcohol in the world. There is not enough alcohol in the world to deaden the hit that I just took on that. He just sat there and took a conversation from argue against sex robots to him bringing up the best argument I have ever fucking heard for a sex robot. It could save marriages. Because what is one of the primary issues that guys have in marriage? Or at least that I should say blue pill guys have in marriage. The sudden drop off in sex. Well, go ahead and get yourself a sex robot. Fucking go for it. When your wife gets a headache, you get the machine. Awesome. You know, you now have a recourse. But then I thought about it. I'm all like, no, wait. It might save marriages temporarily, but then it's going to make it to where the woman has nothing to hold over the guy other than financial threat. Or the threat of taking his kids, or, you know, what the fuck ever. And then I thought about it. I'm all like, wait a minute. Why is it women can sit there and decide to either financially threaten a guy or sexually threaten a guy, yet a guy really has no recourse? And if a guy finds a recourse to one of those, suddenly it makes the other one so much worse. And I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? The sex robots are good in any way. So if a relationship's, you know, floundering because of lack of sexual gratification, if that's the only reason why, if they're happy with each other other than as far as sex is concerned, why not have the sex robots there as kind of a marital aid? Or are marital aids only for women. I mean, unless the guy likes a dildo in the ass or something, at which point, I'm sorry, no, my brain does not like to go there. But why is it that so many people are afraid of something that could actually potentially be helpful? Well, the reason is quite simple. Because the thing is the thing that it would end up helping would more than likely disappear. Because that alternative's there. I mean, it's already disappearing anyway. Don't get me wrong. You know, feminism, you know, says, oh, women should be able to go out and sleep with whoever they want anytime. You know, you should have no say in the matter. All right, fine. You know, the freedom of choice. I'm for it. All right. Well, then why should guys not have that option? Why limit the guys? Why should women be able to go ahead and have sex with machines and guys not? I don't get the logic. What the fuck? And then I really thought about it, and I think Islam actually might be right in that one regard. Because, quite frankly, I don't see anything, at least as far as Western society. Western society has actually brought that to fruition. You know, Western society has proven that right, in my opinion. Now, I'm not Muslim. I'm not going to be Muslim, so cool your jets. But I'm just saying, in this one regard, I think that child-raping, cross-dressing piece of shit actually had one thing right. Not right in exactly the context that he made, but as far as the general statement. Because I've been thinking, you know, back through history, what has been the benefit to men of having a wife? I mean, they've always taken on a bunch of extra responsibility. Yeah, they get sex. Yeah, they have a woman that will bear a child for them. But what else? Social status? Well, that's off the table now. Because a woman now uses a guy to climb the social ladder, not the other way around. I mean, you got, like with the presidency, you know, I mean, if a guy's running and he's not married, good luck. None of the major parties are going to even touch you. Because America wants a family man. No, what they want is a fucking cuck. Sorry, Trump, but I mean, unless Ivanka is actually the perfect fucking wife, which I'm sorry, it's kind of seeming like it. I mean, she's beautiful, she's intelligent, she is actually very well spoken for speaking as many different languages as she does. I mean, I'm not expecting her to speak, you know, flawless English. But you know, it's still one of those things of, I wonder how well Trump would be doing if he didn't have Ivanka in his life. I mean, how much richer would he be? How much stress could he have avoided? But then also, where would Ivanka be? You know, it's all like, would she have become a name known around the world, or would she have ended up at a fucking brothel or at a or serving drinks at a cafe or what? You know, it's all like, where would Ivanka, where would she have ended up? I mean, yeah, she speaks a bunch of different languages, so that's a very marketable skill. So I mean, she could have definitely gone ahead and done translation and such, but there's not really a whole lot. And women, I mean, what's the most successful place that a woman can end up? What is the most successful career for a woman? Like, as far as the most likely for her to get into? Some level of fashion, whether it be modeling or hell, you know, maybe acting in movies. arguably singing, because, I mean, like, at least for me, I don't typically like listening to guys sing. I typically like female vocals. But that's just me. But I was thinking about it, and I'm all like, the more I think about it, the more fucked up the thoughts get. And I'm not saying anything against women. I'm just looking at how society functions now, how it functioned before, how it's shaping up to function. And I'm not seeing a change in that dynamic. Not anytime soon. And forcing women into fields, you know, forcibly making room for them in those fields instead of them earning their position in that field, isn't going to change it. And as far as careers are concerned, women are at a disadvantage because they have to make a choice. Do they want to have kids, or do they want the career? It's typically one or the other. It's very difficult for a woman to balance both. But if a woman does manage to balance both, and she does it on her own accord, instead of, you know, someone saying, oh, you have to keep promoting her during her time off for motherhood. I mean, in all honesty, they have the most, let's say, tenacious attitudes in women that I've seen. And so that's absolutely fantastic, and I absolutely love it. More power to you. You definitely earned it. But when are we going to address the elephant in the room? That right now, in marriage, there's actually very little that a woman can bring to the table that cannot be gotten elsewhere. And they're not even expected to constantly deliver on it. While a man has a lot that he is expected to consistently deliver on, and indeed must legally deliver on. And if we don't address that, then the sex robot thing is going to happen. Because there will be a market for it. Whether it be a legal market or an illegal market. It doesn't matter. And you know what happens when you sit there and ban something. When you make something taboo. It just makes people want it all the more. So, those were just my thoughts. I tried to keep the video a little bit short, but I mean, the linking of the process, you know, it's pretty interesting to me. You know, it's all like, just seeing the argument build itself, just from looking at what's going on around you, that's the sort of thing that actually really interests me. But what do you think? Do you think that it's okay for women to basically have their sex robots, but that it would be detrimental to society for men to have theirs? Or do you think maybe it's time for men to actually finally have an alternative? Go ahead, let me know down in the comments. You can like, you can subscribe, you can dislike, you can unsubscribe, or tell me to fuck off, or tell me I'm a sick fuck for even thinking about sex robots. What the fuck's wrong with me? Go out and get laid. I don't care. But yeah, honestly, go ahead and let me know what's going on in your head. You know, like, where did the line of thinking take you? I would love to hear them. Have yourselves a great night. I'll talk to you later.